The guest that's going to sit in this red chair right now is one of my favorites. You know, a great filmmaker, fantastic that she's from Canada. Also directed the much anticipated film Midnight's Children, which is, you know, based on this much loved, award-winning book from Salman Rushdie. Salman Rushdie understands what it could feel like to be born the brunt of religious extremism. I know that Deepa Mehta has also experienced it in a similar way when she's made films. So who better to tell her story and to set up the conversation of Deepa Mehta than her friend Salman Rushdie.
Action.
Deepa has been always unafraid as a filmmaker. She's always been willing to take on strong material and take risks as an artist. Fire, of course, you know, with its love story between the two female leads was certainly for an Indian movie was pretty strong stuff.
Did we do anything wrong?
No.
Or to talk about the subject of the treatment of widows in India, as she did in Water. The thing about Deepa is that she has great cinematic instinct. And I felt very much that that's what Midnight's Children needed. It needed to be, on the one hand, epic. You know, it's got war and kind of great historical events and so on throughout it. But at the same time, it's a family story. It's a story about intimate relationships. And I think she's really become able to do that. That's a very difficult thing to do.
Tell me a poem. One of yours.
No, you wouldn't like it, okay?
You must.
It's because of that, because of her ambition as a filmmaker. You know, Deepa is always looking for the next thing to do which she hasn't done before. And I think that means that as a filmmaker, she changes and grows, and she's always got something interesting to show us.
Did you see that girl, Captain?
Yes, sir.
That captain is the girl I intend to marry.
Yes, sir.
Please welcome to the program, Deepa Mehta. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
What do you think of the idea that it's been called the Forrest Gump of Indian cinema?
I'm the one who heard it.
Right.
Yeah,
in a way it is, right? Because Salim gets to experience this life, right?
Yeah, and he's also tied to history, which is, of course, the whole thing. But it's a great story that Salman and myself were walking down Telluride after the film festival, and somebody said, "Oh, we just saw Midnight's Children," and the other person said, "Oh, yeah, I loved it. And what do you think? What's it about?" And he said, "Oh, it's the Forrest Gump of India with brown people," or something like that. Forrest Gump with brown people. And Salman stopped them. He said, "I wrote it before Tom Hanks even read the script."
They say you can't get much for $1 these days, but you got the book for $1, didn't you?
I know, I got lucky.
Isn't that bizarre?
It is bizarre. I mean, because...
so how does this happen? Someone says, "I'm going to sell you the book."
It happened in Toronto, so we have to thank Toronto for that. And Salman was in Toronto for, I think, a book promotion tour, and we were having dinner together, and we'd been talking about working together for about a year. And you know, maybe I don't know how it happened that I said the book that I really wanted to do was Midnight's Children, and he said, "Done." And I said, "What?" And he literally said, "No, go ahead and do it." And then when David Hamilton, the producer, approached him and said, "You know, how much is the option going to cost?" I mean, this is the booker of the bookers.
Right.
This is an iconic book. It has defined India, post-colonial India, the way no other book has in the world. And Salman said, "You know, $1." So I really think I got lucky.
But you and Salma could have some really interesting conversations of what it's like to face the brunt of religious extremism because of your art.
You know, George, we never have. It's, I think it's one of the things that you sort of take for granted. And I remember before his book came out, I was lucky enough to have read the galley proofs. And he just loved water and never spoke about the controversy it caused. And it's like two people who are empathetic to each other's. I mean, his has been really far worse than mine. At least I didn't have a fatwa on me. But there's that sort of empathetic relationship. There was no need to talk about or bemoan the fact that why we're being persecuted.
How are you received in India these days?
I'm sort of I wasn't too popular, you know. And then, damn it, I went and got an Academy nomination So now I'm a heroine. So it changes.
So Canadian, isn't it?
So Indian.
It's so Indian.
Maybe it's universal.
Just to be accepted by others and then you get in. People may not realize that in Canada, they've been watching your work for a long time, longer than they probably know. Let's go back to to this particular Deepa Mehta classic.
Why? Why do you want to get us? What have we done?
Exactly.
This is awful. This is like persecution.
This is persecution.
It is persecution.
This is sharing Deepa Mehta, the star.
Right.
Never mind the director, but also the actor.
No, this is terrible. You know, I would never hire myself again. You know, it was the 80s in Canada, and I don't think they could find anybody who was brown. And so they said, why did you do it? I said, why not, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
That actually, before the record, you're talking about, that dealt with real issues. That was dealing with the family and racism, right? And it was growing up, did you experience that? And when you first came to Canada?
No, I think that, you know, being in the arts, you live in a sort of an unrealistic world, or you live in a world that's cocooned from the realities of racism. I mean, racism was alive and well, as it is to a certain degree even now, but I never experienced it firsthand, you know.
When you're raising kids, you know that it's out there for them. How do you protect them from that?
I think it's not about color. I mean, it's about humanity. It's about misogyny. It's about class. It's about everything that promotes inequality.
So good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Deepa Mehta, everyone. Midnight's Children. I recommend you go see this film Fridays in theaters. We'll be right back.